The northeastern United States in the New England region, mid-19th century. These quiet rural towns were gripped by an unexpected fear, a vampire panic. But this wasn't the classic vampire tale we know. There were no cloaked figures wandering the night, no long, sharp fangs. This panic was shaped by a far more real and painful disease, tuberculosis. At the time known as consumption, tuberculosis was a deadly illness that slowly consumed the body, bringing with it paleness, fatigue, and a persistent cough. The epidemic had spread particularly throughout New England. Members of the same family would often fall ill and die one by one within a short period. With modern medicine not yet fully developed, people were desperately trying to understand the cause. Some even believed this disease was a kind of supernatural curse haunting certain families. The germ theory of disease was not widely accepted among the public. Robert Koch would not discover the tuberculosis bacillus until 1882. And even then, this knowledge didn't reach the rural communities. Doctors often prescribed fresh air, rest, and morale-boosting advice. But sometimes even they remained silent in the face of the rituals born from desperation. And some sought answers within the graves. This chain of fear gradually turned into a strange belief. When one family member died, but others kept falling ill, a terrifying question arose. What if the deceased wasn't truly dead? What if they lay in their grave, silently draining the life energy of the living at night? This line of thought gave rise to a supernatural belief among the people. Vampires. But these vampires weren't the ones from myth. These were silent corpses lying in graves, thought to be invisibly cursing their living relatives. The belief ran so deep that rational explanations were quickly dismissed. And the proposed solution? Chilling. The body had to be exhumed. Its internal organs, especially the heart, were examined. And if still fresh, the heart was to be burned. This was believed to end the vampire's influence and halt the spread of the disease. Though some doctors and clergy tried to stop these superstitions, fear often outweighed science. In areas like Vermont, these rituals even turned into public spectacles. Children would eat ice cream, elders would chat, while the bodies of the dead were exhumed and inspected. These ceremonies became part of village life. The most famous of these events happened in 1892 in the town of Exeter, Rhode Island. Mercy Lena Brown, a 19-year-old girl, had died of tuberculosis. Her mother and sister had already succumbed to the illness. When her brother Edwin fell ill, the townsfolk turned their attention to Mercy. Her grave was opened. Despite being buried for 2 months, her body was nearly uncorrupted. Her heart was still fresh. To them, this was proof. Mercy was a vampire. Her heart and liver were removed and burned. The ashes were mixed with water and given to Edwin to drink. He died shortly after. The Mercy Brown case made headlines as part of the vampire panic. It caused such a stir that some researchers believe Bram Stoker drew inspiration from it when writing Dracula. Newspaper clippings about Mercy Brown were found among Stoker's notes, and the scenes involving Lucy's grave in the novel bear striking similarities to Mercy's story. But Mercy was not alone. In Vermont, Rachel Harris. In Connecticut, the Ray family. In Ohio, Swiss immigrants. Many underwent similar rituals. Hearts were removed, bodies burned, heads severed, skeletons rearranged with skulls placed atop rib cages in a crossbones fashion. Archaeological evidence supports these practices. One of the clearest examples is a skeleton known as JB55, found in Connecticut. His skull had been placed on his chest and his ribs broken to extract the heart. Why did people turn to such beliefs? The answer is simple: fear and helplessness. Not knowing the real cause of the disease, people searched for their own answers in the face of overwhelming death. Many genuinely believed these rituals were a path to salvation. These grave openings weren't acts of hatred toward the dead, but rather desperate attempts to save the living. Often the first to die was the most beloved, a spouse, a sibling, a child. Some of these rituals were carried out in secret, while in places like Vermont they were held publicly, almost like village festivals. The heart would be burned in a blacksmith's forge, the ashes mixed into water and drunk by the ill. In some cases, the body's orientation was changed, the head cut off, or the grave relocated. Sometimes, symbolic yet striking measures were enough. Local clergy and doctors were often present. While they rarely participated directly, they usually remained silent because they had no better alternative. These stories were largely forgotten for over a century, until a 1990s excavation in Griswold, Connecticut, brought them back. There, archaeologists uncovered JB-55, whose skull had been placed on his chest. His ribs were broken, indicating the heart had been removed. DNA analysis confirmed he was a 19th century farmer who had died of tuberculosis and whose grave had been disturbed and rearranged. This discovery proved that the vampire panic was not mere legend. It was a historical reality. Photos of JB-55's remains still testify to one of humanity's darkest fears. The New England vampire panic was not merely about superstition. It was a dramatic struggle for survival. In the face of inadequate medicine, social isolation, and mounting fear, people embraced even the most irrational solutions. Today, folklorists interpret these events as strategies of coping with despair. They offer valuable insights into how the pre-scientific human mind turned to myth in times of crisis. Mercy Brown's grave remains a site of interest. The stories of burned vampire hearts live on in books, shows, and documentaries.
Thank you for watching another episode. If you've made it this far, we sincerely appreciate your time. To help Momenta Historica grow, we need your support. So please consider subscribing, liking the video, and giving us a hype score. Until the next story, take care.